Have you ever had the feeling that no matter how much time has passed, something inside you never completely faded away? As if a person had left such a deep mark that no one else could replace it. It might be hard to admit, but I need to tell you, she never forgot you. As much as life has moved on, as the days have gone by, as new chapters have begun, there is something that still connects her to you. It's as if, amidst everything, a part of her always goes back to that moment when you were everything to each other. And you feel it, don't you? That emptiness that sometimes appears without warning, like something is not complete. Maybe you have tried to bury these feelings, ignore them, but the truth is they are still alive, just as they are in her. She has been thinking about you more than you can imagine. There are signs, small details that you might have noticed, a message that never arrived but was written, a song she shared on social media, the one that has everything to do with you both, or even the silence, the one that screams louder than any words could say. These aren't coincidences, they are proof that no matter how much time has passed, true love never dies. And now, something is about to change. A decision is being made, and this could change everything between you two. She might be gathering the courage to get closer again, to say what has been stuck in her throat for so long. Or maybe it's the universe, acting unexpectedly to bring you both back on the same path. Are you ready for this? I know that many doubts can arise. What if it doesn't work out? What if it's too late? But the truth is, the love that never died deserves a chance. No matter what happened, what was said or done in the past, there are things we can't erase because they weren't meant to disappear. It is these things that shape who we are, that teach us, that transform us. The question you need to ask yourself now is, what do you want from here on out? Because when she comes back, and it will happen, you will need to be ready. Not to relive the past, but to build something new, something even stronger. She never forgot you, but did you not forget her either? Are you willing to listen to what she has to say, to open your heart, and give a new chance to what you had? If she comes back, it won't be by chance. No one returns to someone else's life without a reason. The question is, what will you do when that happens? Because there are two ways to face such a reconnection. You can remain stuck in the past, revisiting wounds and mistakes, or you can see this as an opportunity for something completely new. But know this, it takes courage. It takes looking at her, at yourself, and at what you have lived through without fear of the truth. When she appears, emotions may come to the surface in a way that you can't control. Maybe you will feel confused, vulnerable, even angry. After all, if she never forgot you, why did it take her so long to come back? Why didn't she fight for you before? These are natural questions, but before throwing them on her, ask yourself, what were you ready to do for her all this time? The distance wasn't just hers, it was both of yours. There's no point in looking for blame. There's no point in insisting on old hurts. All that matters now is what you will do with the second chance that is in front of you. There is an important detail you need to remember. She is also facing her own fears. No one comes back without hesitation, without questioning, without preparing for the impact. Believe me, she must have thought 1,000 times before deciding to reconnect. And yet, she is here. That says a lot about what she feels for you, what she still sees in you both, what she still believes is possible despite everything. Are you seeing this clearly? It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking everything needs to be perfect this time, that you must avoid any mistakes, that you cannot fail. But that's not realistic. You are human, with scars, stories, and lessons learned. If there's something that needs to happen now, it's a true conversation. Not a superficial one. Not that conversation filled with ready-made phrases that avoid touching what really matters. I'm talking about looking at her and asking, with an open heart, what do you still feel? What do you really want? And of course, be ready to answer those same questions. Because time may have passed, but that doesn't mean the answers will be easy. You may discover things you never knew about her, about what she went through without you, about how she dealt with the absence. And in the process, you may discover a lot about yourself, about the feelings you tried to bury and that suddenly resurface with full force. This will not be comfortable, in fact it may be frightening, but who said true love is easy? It requires effort. It requires you to step out of your comfort zone, to face your own ghosts. And above all, it requires you to be willing to set aside your pride, not to accept less than you deserve, but to recognize that you both are imperfect and that this does not diminish the value of what you feel for each other. You need to pay attention to the signs. This connection you have is not happening by chance. It comes back now because there is something that needs to be resolved, something you might not have noticed before. It could be that this reconnection is the beginning of a new chapter, but it could also be an ending. There are no guarantees. The only certainty you have is that this is your chance to decide what truly matters. If the past weighs heavy, put it on the table. But without accusations, without demands, just as a way to clear the path for something lighter, something truer. If there are regrets, confess them. And if there is forgiveness to be given, offer it. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Holding on to grudges will get you nowhere, and it also won't bring you the peace you need to move forward, whether with her or without her. You might be wondering, what if this is not what I expected? What if she is no longer the same person? Well, she isn't, and neither are you. Time changes people, and that's inevitable. But if the feelings are still alive, it's because something essential remains. Don't cling to the idea of recreating what you had before. Think about building something new, something that respects who you are now, with the pains and achievements you've accumulated up to this point. And if you discover that you never really forgot her, that despite everything, there is still a space inside of you that only she occupies. What would you do with that truth? Would you have the courage to admit it, first to yourself and then to her? Because that, deep down, is what will define the next step. It's not about having all the answers now. It's about having the courage to be honest, even when it makes you vulnerable. She never forgot you. That's a fact. And what she does with that feeling is her decision. But what you will do with it is your responsibility. Don't throw this chance away out of fear of getting hurt or failing. Because the biggest risk is not that it will go wrong. It's never trying. It's spending your life wondering what if. Don't carry that weight. Don't sabotage yourself with doubts that only time can answer. Now is the moment to act, to feel, to be present. There's no point in living in the future imagining how it would be, nor in being stuck in the past rehashing what can't be changed. What you have is the now, this unique opportunity to look into her eyes and say what has been kept inside for so long. To hear what she has to say without judgment, without hurry, just with an open heart. Are you ready for this? If not, prepare yourself, because the reunion will happen. It could be today, tomorrow, or at an unexpected moment. But when it happens, you will have to decide. And this decision cannot be made based on fear, doubt, or pride. It needs to come from the most genuine place within you. When she is in front of you, there will be no more running away. There will be no space for rehearsals or disguises. It will be you, her, and the truth you have carried until now. This moment may not be perfect. It may not happen like in the movies, but it will be real. And the real, no matter how imperfect, is where transformation resides. What you need to understand now is that every word, every gesture, every silence she brought until now has meaning. She is not coming by chance. And even if she doesn't say everything directly, you will feel it in her eyes, in the way her voice may tremble, or in the way she hesitates. These are the signs that tell more than words. Will you be attentive? Or will you let fear cloud your perception? Because fear has that power, you know. It can make you see threats where there is actually only vulnerability. She never forgot you, but that doesn't mean she didn't suffer. It doesn't mean she hasn't faced sleepless nights, carrying the doubt about what could have been. And in the same way, maybe you also felt that emptiness, even while trying to ignore it. Maybe you distracted yourself with other things, with other people, but deep down, you knew that none of them occupied the space that was hers. When two people meet again after so much time, they carry the weight of their stories, but the reunion is the chance to rewrite those stories. It doesn't matter what was broken, what was unresolved, what was said or done. What matters is what you are willing to build from now on. And yes, it can be scary to admit that you still feel something for her. It can be scary to open your heart again, knowing that there is the possibility of getting hurt. But the alternative is to live with closed doors, carrying a what if for the rest of your life. Is that really what you want? Is that what you deserve? You know what she represents to you. even if you tried to deny it, even if you told yourself that time would heal everything. Some connections cannot be healed because they are not wounds, they are marks. And true love leaves marks that do not disappear. It shapes you, transforms you, and in a way always calls you back. But what you need to decide now is how to respond to that call, because she may be willing to take a step toward you, but she can't do it alone. This requires a decision from you, a clarity about what you want and what you are willing to offer. She is not here to rescue what was lost. She is here to discover if there is still something to be found. And if there is, are you willing to work for it? Because yes, it will take effort. Rebuilding something that was interrupted requires patience. It requires you to listen carefully, to understand not just the words, but also what is behind them. It requires you to open up, even knowing it might be difficult. She never forgot you, but that doesn't mean everything will be like it was before. Maybe you will discover that your love has changed, that it has matured, that now it comes with more awareness, more depth, or maybe you will realize that some things need to be left behind for something new to emerge. In any case, this reunion is not about recovering what was lost, but about creating something new from what you still feel. Have you ever stopped to think about what it means that she is back now? The universe has its own rhythms, its own timing. Maybe you needed to be apart to learn what was necessary to grow to become the people you are today. And now finally you are ready to see each other differently, more completely, more truthfully. The past doesn't have to be a burden, it can be a lesson. But for that, you need to be willing to let go of pride, hurt, and unrealistic expectations. She isn't perfect, neither are you. But love was never about perfection. It is about presence, about connection, about the willingness to be beside someone, even knowing that it requires effort, commitment, and courage. Now is the moment to ask yourself, what do you really want? Because when she stands before you, there will be no room for superficial answers. You need to be honest with yourself. If you still feel something, say it. If you have doubts, express them. But do not let silence speak for you. Silence can be comfortable, but it can also be the greatest saboteur of what could have been a beautiful story. And please do not let pride be your voice. Do not let the fear of appearing vulnerable keep you from opening up. Vulnerability is not weakness. In fact, it is the greatest demonstration of strength that you can offer. Showing who you really are without masks, without barriers, is what creates real lasting connections. She never forgot you, but that does not mean she doesn't have doubts, that she isn't afraid. She is taking a big risk by coming back. She is putting herself in a position of vulnerability, and that deserves respect. It doesn't matter how things end, it doesn't matter what you decide. The fact that she has come back already shows that what you had was real, it was important. Honor that. Honor the history you built, even if it wasn't perfect. And above all, honor what you feel. Do not hide behind excuses. Do not pretend you don't care. Time waits for no one. Opportunities come and go, and what you do with them defines the course of your life. She is here now. What will you do with that? Now it's all up to you. She never forgot you, but that only becomes a starting point if you decide to act. What will you do when you have this chance before you? Will you let fear and pride speak louder? Or will you listen to what your heart has to say, because deep down you already know the answer? This moment can change everything, but it is you who takes the first step. Be honest, be present, be courageous. It is not what happened before that defines you, but what you choose to do now. Do not wait for the perfect moment, because it doesn't exist. Seize the real moment, the moment that is before you. And now I want to hear from you. What would you do if this person came back? Leave your story in the comments. I want to hear your experience. Your story might inspire others who are going through the same situation. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more reflections like this one, and to leave your like. This not only helps to spread this message, but is also your way of saying that this conversation made sense to you. So, now it's your turn. Let's continue this conversation in the comments. I'm here waiting to know what you have to say. And remember, true love never dies. Maybe it's time for you to give it the chance it deserves.